Hello, everyone. Behind the scenes, let me start there actually. Today, Saturday, I almost said September. Boy, am I behind. Saturday, December the 20th. Christmas coming. Merry Christmas. Happy Hanukkah. Happy New Year. So happy holidays. No, that's not an insult to recognize the other holidays here, but indeed, Merry Christmas for me and the Christitutionalist podcast. At any rate, what I was just on with Dick Cupkey and Trigger Talk Radio, Wham Radio Saturdays. That's why I'm recording this now before I forget. Will air later. I don't know, Saturday night, maybe Sunday the 21st, it'll drop. Not sure yet. I was on with Dick Cupkey, Trigger Talk, Wham Radio, 1600 AM out of Ann Arbor. Yeah, liberal U of M city. But Ann Arbor, very conservative station. You can find them whamradio.com. There is a listen live, so Saturdays 11 to 1 if you want to tune in. Earlier, I dropped regarding Christmas gifts. That was inspired by being on with the Abolitionist Roundtable team in the morning, and I mentioned ebooks make great e-gifts sent via email, so there's no delivery. It's right through email. At any rate, please check out that video. Ebooks make great e-gifts. You don't need a Kindle to read them. I go into that in that video. I was on ART, mentioned that, as well as, what were we talking about on ART? I forget now, but you could go to whamradio.com. Under the shows, you could find playbacks Saturday, December 20th. ART is what? 9 to 10 a.m. Saturdays. I usually tune into Ed Bondarenka, also 1300 Eastern Time to 1500 Eastern Time. whamradio.com. But anyway, Dick Cupkey, talking to the Brown University thing. And I'm thinking, let's stick with the gun-related thing, the fallacy of the gun control idiocy. If he has a beef with Brown University, and I'll get into this extra in a minute, why did he not just go in and burn the building down? Why did he kill people there? All right, if he was jealous of the MIT guy, he didn't need to shoot him. He could have just stabbed him to death. So none of what he did, if he wanted to get back at Brown and to knock off the MIT guy because he was jealous, required a gun at all. Blaming the gun is just stupid. Again, as usual, left-hearted idiocy. Look at England with all the stabbings and beatings to death over there because of the strict gun control. Australia, strict gun control, a whole lot of stabbings and beatings there too. The Bondi event happened to be a shooting because it was a person, one of the rare people who was actually able to get guns. And, the fallacy of gun control again. Bad guys are still getting guns. All of that aside, though, as an author, I meant to go into with Dick, but we did go into this a little, but I didn't preface it with as an author. If I were writing a book about what has transpired, and I were writing, he coincidentally shoots the most conservative person, the GOP club member at a ultra-liberal university. Coincidentally does that. And he coincidentally waited 2+ decades to exact revenge on Brown University that he supposedly has the beef with, but he coincidentally waits decades and coincidentally shoots the ultra-conservative on campus, and then coincidentally also goes and kills the MIT guy. It wouldn't be believable. I couldn't sell that book. You got to take the word coincidentally out of all that, because it's just not believable that there isn't something more deeper that went on here. 2 decades later, and that was the woman. If you had the beef with Brown, why not just go in and burn down the building? Why kill anybody? Or why not target professors that may have still been there all these years later that gave him bad grades, which is why he dropped out of school at Brown? And then, of course, the whole beef and endless books and movies done conspiracy theory-wise, spy thrillers of big oil trying to keep nuclear fusion, and especially the advent of nuclear fission, which will, in theory, change energy forever on this planet. So the coincidental and coincidental and coincidental and coincidental, too many coincidences to buy that it's a coincidence. It's understandable why people are peddling conspiracy theories right now and asking questions. There has to be more went on in all of this. And then, of course, the guy kills himself after, I don't remember the guy's name, but, crime specialist on the news talking about, he clearly had extra license plates to change plates. He planned this out to get away with what he was doing. He planned to get away. He planned to live and get away with these crimes. There was pre-planning and all this, but yet he coincidentally lets the car rental lapse, which triggers and flags it. Triggers, no pun intended there. Flags it as a stolen vehicle, and there would be APBs out on it. Bolos, be on the lookout. Bolos, sorry, be on the lookout for the vehicle. And again, coincidental. So many things just don't add up. It doesn't make any sense. So yeah, people are asking a lot of questions. And he happens to shoot himself on, supposedly we hear, Tuesday. They find the body later. Again, why would he do that if all the pre-planning, it wasn't intended to be murder-suicide bombing or murder-suicide shooting, murder-suicide terror event is the phrase and terminology I'm getting at. Of course, being author of Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You, #1 bestseller in several Amazon Kindle categories. Thank you all for that, fans. Thank you for doing that for me. I'm working on a 4th book in my Life and Living series now. I'm calling it, working title, Complexity. I've got 3 videos behind the scenes, like terrorstrikes.info/status. terrorstrikes.info/status. The website was up before the book was actually at the publisher. Before it was actually signed. Whoop, alarm clock's going off, gotta turn it off. 12:20 in the afternoon. Saturday, December 20th. Getting ready to watch the Red Wing game this afternoon. They're hosting the Washington Capitals. occasional distractions are good. They're healthy. You just can't be consumed by the bread and circus 24/7. But at any rate, yeah, the coincidences, if I were to have put that in Terror Strikes Coming Soon to a City Near You, people would be laughing at me. It only works as a conspiracy. It does not make sense, does not add up. Why would he do all these things? Clearly planning on getting away, probably escaping them overseas to a non-extradition nation and get away with his crime, but yet he kills himself later rather than it be a homicide, murder, terror attack where he is there and he takes out as many people as possible and gets into a gunfight with police and lets suicide by cop. But no, he kills. There's just so many unbelievable elements here. So yes, people have questions, lots of questions. At any rate, tune in, whamradio.com. There's a listen live ART, Saturdays, 9 a.m. For an hour, I usually listen and call into Trigger Talk, 11 to 1 p.m. in the afternoon, Eastern Time. I usually listen to, and I'm a caller into. I used to be a listener and caller to Moment of Clarity, 1 to 2. Ed Bondarenka's Euro-American Heritage used to come on from 2 to 3 in the afternoon on Saturdays. After that, but now Ed's Euro-American Heritage takes from 1 to 3 in the afternoon, 1300 to 1500. And yes, on Sundays, The Intersection with Pastor Sean Todd at noon on Sundays, and 12:30 for a half hour, Derek Stone, Stone Cold Sports Truth. I usually listen from 12:30 in the afternoon till 1300 on Sundays. And yes, I'm a frequent caller there, talking about Red Wings and Lions and Tigers and whatnot. At any rate, the whole Brown thing, just so many questions and pieces that don't quite make the puzzle picture they're trying to get us to believe of so many coincidences. Conclusion, gun, not relevant to the story at all. He could have burned down the building, and if he was upset with Brown, why didn't he just burn down the building? Why did he kill people there? 2 decades plus. The people shot, some of them probably weren't even born yet when he was at Brown. So that doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. The gun is irrelevant. He could have burned down the building. Why didn't he do just that? And he could have stabbed the MIT guy to death. Gun, irrelevant. Thank you all. Take care. God bless. Love you all. Like and subscribe to Constitutionalist Politics Podcast and share episodes. We need your help. Thank you for having tuned into another Constitutionalist podcast show. I really appreciate that you stopped by. Again, please like, share, subscribe. We need you to help spread the Constitutionalist movement. Thank you again. Take care. God bless. Love you all.